Yeah, I thought our coaches did a nice job of identifying, some needs. Obviously, 19 guys, 15 of them mid-year. It's imperative that you get as many young men that can enroll mid-year as you look at our signee class. We've got a bunch of different ones, player-wise, position-wise, but also junior college, high school, and so with as many players as we were losing senior-wise, not counting portal-wise, but senior-wise, we felt like we had a good plan as far as how we wanted to replace them, what we wanted to replace them with, and obviously there's certain needs that you have to have. One of the main things for us was trying to replenish OLDL. That was big. That was a big point, and so 8 of the 19 signees are big guys from that standpoint there, and so that was something that was a big emphasis. And also we needed to do a better job in the secondary as far as replenishing some of those. So we had six defensive back signees. So if you look at a lot of that from that standpoint, that was a big deal for us. And so I like the class. I think that obviously they meet needs. I think they're great fits for Liberty and what we're about. And a lot of these guys have been committed to us for a long time. And so we feel fortunate that they bought into us. They didn't respond or react to how the season went. They believe in what we're doing, and I think that says a lot about them. And so I think we got a lot of building blocks in this class to continue to build our program.
How different is it nowadays when you're dealing with the signing class, especially when you got transfer portal and things like that? Obviously, only one transfer portal this year, but how much does that factor into your high school signing class?
I think with the one portal, and I don't think you necessarily you don't have to reach on a guy. Usually in the past, before everything changed, if you needed a position and you didn't get necessarily quite your guy, you really needed that position, so you sort of went after the position. Now, if we didn't get quite the guy we felt like wasn't good enough to help us, or help us win championships, you don't use that spot. You save it because there's going to be portal and there's going to be somebody else there that can come in. So I think you're a little bit more patient. If you don't get quite the guy you want, you just, all right, we'll figure out if we can get it in the portal from that standpoint. And so I think our guys did a good job of that. We had some guys that were committed, that decommitted, that were good players. We had some spots still available, but we didn't go necessarily chase after more high school guys. We felt like the guys that we had felt good about them. They were locked in with us, and then we save those spots for January 2nd.
No, it's early, and you haven't signed all your guys for their entire day. But are there any guys that maybe you've signed so far that you feel like you might have an opportunity to play for you pretty early on, that you feel good about maybe the progress that they have as they're coming onto campus in January? I would tell you that who has to play is Michael Floyd, defensive lineman, junior college. He has to be able to play. That's why we signed him. I would tell you that Prince Cottenham, Elijah McKenzie, both of them need to come in and be ready to play and have an opportunity to do that. And then I would say this is there are a lot of opportunities in our running back room. There's going to be a lot of opportunities in our secondary for young people to play. And so as you're looking at the signee class, I shared the guys there that have to be able to play, but there's going to be a lot of opportunities for a lot of those secondary guys to earn some playing time. And we'll see, again, 15 and 19 are going to be here. And so that's a big deal for those guys to come in and be able to go through a spring ball. And so not that any of them couldn't play early. You don't know until they get here. But of the immediate spots that you have to have the junior college, and Elijah's a Division II transfer. Those guys really need to be ready to come in and contribute right away.
You mentioned the running back opportunities. Does that mean you anticipate more departures than just Juju?
I'd say running backs are going to have to be ready to play. Yeah, that's what I would say.
Michael Floyd, what do you like about him? Because that's seems like a spot where you guys have wanted to get better at, and try to get a little more pressure on the quarterback. Is he a guy that can do that for you?
He's an athletic pass rusher. He's a 5 technique that you can put on the edge. That can get off the ball and put pressure on the quarterback. That's an area that we wanted to improve. He's somebody that we targeted for a while. As you're going through that, and we felt like won some good recruiting battles for him there. He's somebody that does have the ability. He's just really scratching the surface. He was a linebacker that transitioned to defensive end, and he's really taken off at defensive end. He's just really scratching his surface. I think after he's in here a spring and in our weight program. He's like 245 now. He'll be up to 260, 265 with really nice get off. So I can see him, being that type of guy that the thing about pass rush, you might have a really good pass rusher on one side. They can double him. You better have somebody on that other side that now they can't double, and you get pressure. And I think Michael, if he continues to show what he showed in junior college, he can give us that guy that now we got potentially have two guys now coming off both sides of the edges if our current team stays together.
Because he'll command more attention.
Should.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least that's the hope. That's the hope.
What do you like about the quarterback, Jake and Davis? And I guess Bo Nix's brother-in-law. Did you know of him, and he know of you before?
Yeah. So actually, Jakin, the pastor when I lived in Charleston, the pastor was John Davis, Jakin's father. I actually led Jakin to know Jesus after a Super Bowl. I did a speaking engagement at the Super Bowl, and Jakin gave his life to the Lord when he was 8 at that time frame. So I had a connection with Jakin for a long time. Jakin is highly competitive. He's got a sister and 2 brothers. His both brothers play high-level college baseball, but Jakin is an elite baseball player as well. But he is a highly competitive, runs, throws, unbelievably smart, and he has arguably the toughest mental toughness I've seen. Like, he's just one of those kids, and so really excited about him, and somebody that I could see that will have a bright future here.
Just a couple on the defensive line, Chris Law and Austin Tremblay. I feel like they've been committed to you for quite some time now, and they obviously impact some huge needs for you. But with them being local guys, if you want to speak to them,
I'm excited about both of them. Obviously, Austin here in our backyard. Austin's somebody that transferred. His family moved here 2 years ago. I think they were in Kentucky. Don't check me on that. I think it's Kentucky, and transferred here 2 years ago and was at our camp. When he first got here, and did some good things, and he's a guy you follow, and then obviously had a really nice year at LCA, and then this past year I came back to camp, and he was just his improvement from summer of 24 to summer of 25 was tremendous. He has a relentless motor. And he plays extremely hard. He's got good size. He's a physical guy, and really excited about him. And then Chris down the road here in Danville. Chris is. I think Chris has got his best years ahead of him. He's just really scratched the surface of him. He's a wrestler. The awesome thing about Chris. Remember when I first met him? I met him in the school in January, and Coach was telling us about him, and then. He literally said his dream was to play at Liberty. Now, how many people say that, right? I mean, but being around this area, that was something for him that he didn't even think he could do. He was just so taken back and so just was so thankful, him and his family, for the opportunity. And so love the young man. He's overcome a lot there, and excited about him. And I think both of those guys are great representatives of what we're trying to get here. And then if you throw Xavier Reed in there, Xavier Reed is, from what I spoke of there, Xavier Reed was a 7A player of the year. I think 7A. It might be wrong on that. Player of the year in Florida as a D lineman. And so obviously, you look at him, he's a little undersized. He missed his senior year this year because of an injury. And if he played in his senior year this year, he'd have repeated. And so I think we got some good young guys to build off of there.
Go back to Prince Cottenham. What were some of the boxes that he checked? Is he physical? Is he skills?
He can play multiple positions. The thing that we really we needed to have is we got to be better at covering. And so we were able to go out and watch him practice and play, and see that he has the necessary skills to do that. The thing that he has to do when he gets here, he's got to get bigger. To be able to be physically, he's got all the skill sets. Physically, he's got to get bigger, and so he will. But he has got the skill set to be a cover corner for us, which we have to get better at covering. And that was one of the things as we're taking different corners and different things. We had to have some that we knew can play multiple positions, corner, star, nickel, whatever you call it. And then also, hey, when it matters, third down, who we feel like can cover somebody's best player. We think he has those attributes there, and he'll put the work in to put the necessary weight on, so he physically can handle the demands of this level. But we like the ability that he brings and the mindset that he brings.
Running back Cam Wood from Carrollton. What do you like about him?
If you watch him, man, he can really, really go. I mean, he can really, really go, but he's a bigger back. One of the things that we wanted to try to focus at least one of our positions at running back on a bigger type guy that was 200 plus, and he's done that. He's really came out of nowhere. How you doing? Came out of nowhere, and was not necessarily on a lot of radars, and it's just had an unbelievable season, and playing well, close to playing for a state championship down there. Great human. And I think he's somebody that might end up being the surprise of the class. None of y'all know about him? I don't know that much about him. But he's, as far as meaning like, he's a surprise, right? Nobody hear about him, but I think he can end up being like, whoa. And I think in a couple years. I wish he was mid-year. He's not mid-year. And so, but he's got a chance to surprise a lot of people.
You talked a lot about needing more depth on the offensive line this year. Do you think with some of these guys that you've signed that'll have a chance to do that this year, or are you looking more as into the future with some of these guys?
It's hard. It's hard for freshmen O-line to play. You just don't know their mentality, right? And so until they get here, you think until they get here and see how they learn and all those things. We just have to see. But I think from a physical standpoint, all those guys can fit the bill physically. Now you just got to see mentally and how much they pick up things. But as you're building your O-line, you're really looking at, can they come in and play right away? Maybe. I don't know. We'll see. But you got to have some guys that have, after a year and they develop, can they be the next set that's ready to take over? Because as you guys learn, I mean, you end up staying in the portal all the time in O-line, right? It'd be nice to have some homegrown guys that are here for a little while and then you build up. And so hopefully with last year's class, this year's class, we've got a good group can be a good nucleus as they're learning how to play as we have an older O-line group, coming back, hopefully an O-line group coming back. Can be a good nucleus to learn and build from that can hopefully be your, O-line of the future there.
You mentioned for offensive linemen taking time to develop and difficulty coming in. When you guys onboard, is there an onboarding with the idea that our goal is to get them ready, not for necessarily their true freshman year, but their second year on campus where they can be contributors?
Well, if they can play right away, we're going to play them right away because if they're good enough to play and they're not playing, they're going to go find somewhere else to play. So you got to play. If they're good enough to play, you got to find a way to play them. But hopefully, everybody on this list, if they're not able to play right away, then by their redshirt freshman or whatever it is, they're ready to go. You got to have that. You got to be able to do that in today's world. You don't have a lot of time to take 2 or 3 years for guys to get better. And so, but I do think all these guys have the ability to help, especially some of the athletic guys, the secondary, some of those guys. Those guys can maybe be able to help right away on special teams, right? And then can they pick up the offense or defense from there? So, but we need them. If they all can play right away, we're going to play them. If they're not quite ready to go, some might need physical help, some might need. It's hard to transition to college, right? It takes a while. They're away from home, and sometimes it just takes them a while to figure that out a little bit. But we played a lot. If you look at some of our class from 2 years ago, some of those guys were redshirt freshmen this year. They ended up playing a little bit more, and we got a lot of confidence in that group coming back because they were able to play. And so we feel good that these guys can be in a very similar mode.
As you look ahead at the portal window, what are some positions you have to hit on?
I think you got, if you just go down through it, we got a D lineman. I think we got to go there. I think we got to hit the secondary, corner safety. I'd like to get a couple more O linemen to help bridge the gap there as well. I think we've got to get a couple running backs. I'd like to get us 1 or 2 receivers, and I think we got to go look at 1 to 2 quarterbacks as well from that standpoint. So, and kicker and a punter. So probably arguably about only one I didn't mention is probably linebacker. I think we got a good group coming back there. Not saying you wouldn't go try to find somebody there, but if that group stays with us, I think we've got a really good group coming back there. Not to say you wouldn't try to supplement it by any means, but there are immediate needs in a lot of positions that can come in and have a great chance to help impact us. And so we've been on that for a while. Once the portal opens and you find out who all's actually in, we'll have a good plan of going after that.
You mentioned linebacker. Ellis was a guy that kind of jumped on here late. What have you seen out of him?
Yeah, Ellis was somebody that we'd known about for a while, and we had a couple there, and things didn't work out with the couple we had, and he's somebody we were paying attention to, and there was going to be, could he make it to be mid-year or not? That was sort of the challenge we were deciding. Like, we really wanted somebody to come in mid-year at that position, and so he's somebody we were on, but we didn't offer until really late just because we were trying to figure out that, and he's a tremendous athletic linebacker, a guy that can run. He's somebody that will fit the necessary athletic skills, and so him coming in and learning the system, some of those will be the big challenge for him there. But his team's in the third or fourth round. I mean, he's like a missile out there, and he's if I'm not mistaken, he's got a twin brother that signed with Jacksonville State, so you might want to check that. And so really like him. I think he's got a chip on his shoulder, and he's got the right makeup. So I really like what he's about as a person.
Go back to portal needs. Are you specifically talking about tackles and edge rushers on the O-line and D-line?
I think offensive line, you're always trying to. To me, we need an interior and 1 or 2 tackles probably. You'll take the best available. I mean, it's not like you got to take what you can. We'll see where the affordability is, from that standpoint. But that would be ideal. Defensive line, we got to get bigger inside. We got to get bigger, and so we would like to get some girth, a little bit more girth, and I'd like to get like 2 of those. I'd like to see if we could get a nose or a 3 technique and vice versa. One of those guys, and if we can get 2 of those guys to help with that, I think you can get bigger there. And then we're always looking. I think you'd always look for another edge rusher, somebody that can do some stuff off the edge. And so those are the 2 main things there. In the secondary, we need some more corners, and we need. I would tell you we go after 2 to 3 corners, and probably 1 safety for sure. Maybe we'll take the best of what we can get, if that makes sense. If there's 2 corners and there's 2 safeties, then we'll take those. If there's 3 and 1, we'll take those, and we'll match it up to what we have. But we got to get some more ability back there.
On the news yesterday that Willie Korn said he was going to be leaving your program. I guess if you could speak to that, he's been with you for quite some time, maybe your relationship and when he approached you with his decision, and then if that had any impact on your signing day, maybe having to make some calls and keep some guys committed.
Yeah, I don't think. I wish it wouldn't have came out obviously before signing day, but it didn't have any effect on that we're aware of. Nobody mentioned that. I love Willie. Willie's been part of my life since 2010, and he's a brother. He really is, and I love him. And when you're with somebody that long, you hate to see him get out of it, And so he made it for the right reasons. He one thing about Willie, he puts everything into something, everything. And these jobs are hard. When you put everything into it and it don't go as well as you want, you're trying to be a father, you're trying to be a husband. It's just hard. It's hard. And I think he really struggled with that balance. And I think he got to the point where, what's most important for me? And he obviously chose his family, which is, and played for me, coached for me for a long time. So I think he played 10, 11, and then he went and tried to play arena ball for 12, and I saved him from arena ball. And he's been with us since 2013. So that's like a family member. So I'm happy for him. I think he's got some peace now. I think he was really just churning. And this is not something, and he'll tell you this, he's been thinking about this for 6 years. It's been ever since he got married and had a family. I think that's been churning with him for a while. Like, is this what I want to do the rest of my life? Because he wants to be such a great husband and he wants to be a great father. And I think that's just something in the good, the bad. Like in our best years, he'd always come to me. Yes, I don't know. And he'd say, well, I'm gonna go. And you could just, and you could tell it just got to him there. So I'm happy that he's found that, and we're gonna miss him. He did a great job in a lot of different places, and the players are, because he cared about them. So, but we'll have a good pathway going forward. What we're gonna do, after he leaves there, and we'll go forward.
What's the hopeful timing on that, and also what attributes are you looking for? I mean, to bring in a new quarterbacks coach, play caller, and what are the most?
Yeah, I mean,
there's a lot of pieces to it, right?
I've got an internal candidate that I'm hot on. In the way we have it, you have an analyst position behind them. Typically, so I've got an internal candidate that I'm high on that I believe in, and so there's a route I can go there, and then try to bring in maybe a senior type analyst at quarterback that's been around and done some things there. I've got a lot that I'm thinking through. I've coached quarterbacks before, so I can do that if I need to, and so I'm gonna make the best decision for a program, and so I don't. When I figure out what I want to do there, I'll make it and go from there. I don't think it's going to bother us at all in the portal and all that stuff from there, and then once I make it, I'll let y'all know.
Would you consider taking the play calling over for this Shaw, or is that?
Yeah, I'll definitely consider that. I mean, I've done it before. The last time I did it was the 22 season. Mm-hmm. But that's something that I'm strongly considering. Yes, from that, and if that's what I do, then I'll go that direction and maybe think more of a senior analyst that's just been around a little bit and promote within is what I'll do. If I decide, hey, I don't want to call it, then I've got somebody on here that potentially could, but also I might think about outside right now. But I'll make that decision here soon from that.
That move will impact, obviously, the offensive staff a little bit. Are you expecting any more changes or any changes at all to the defensive staff?
You know what? I've not. We're all this week is we've been meeting with our own players. You're trying to figure out what's going on there. Get through sign a date. I have meetings with all of our coaches next week as far as performance review. So we'll see. There might be changes that there's going to be changes. What they exactly look like, I'm not going to tell you. I'm not 100%, ready to share that information. But there'll be changes in a lot of areas. I'm not just talking coaches per se. There's some things we got to do. We're not going to go through this again. All right. So we've got to make some good changes, and I've been working on those honestly throughout the season. But I've got to meet with coaches, see their thoughts, tell them my thoughts. And I'm sure we got some guys that might have other options as well for job wise and some of those things too. So all that'll be discussed next week.
Does that change the structure of the flow of the off season? You guys have typically practiced and
I'm changing that. I'm pushing everything back to March. Now that we have the one portal, all the different things, I actually was doing that in the summer. I already started thinking through those things as far as some things that I wanted to change up, and so we're going to do more of a traditional now as far as because originally it was you were going to be able to do things in the summer. They were changing all this stuff, so we'd already made our mind up. We're going to push it back to March and do some of that. So spring ball won't start till wherever spring break is, a couple of days before spring break. Sort of similar to the first year, if you guys can remember that.
Also on the changes to the offensive staff and how you guys sort that out, plus the quarterback with the news of Vasco and his surgery coming up, as well as obviously in the offseason, Ryan Berger right before the season with his medical retirement. How has that changed the emphasis on quarterback, not just with the recruiting class, but also with the transfer portal?
Yeah, it's big. I met with all the quarterbacks today actually, and told them, obviously they know Coach Corn's gone, but just said that we're going to be heavily involved in quarterbacks in the portal. We're going to have involved. Obviously, Vasco being hurt, can he come back and be healthy? Hopefully he can. We feel good about that, but you don't know. So you got to as the head coach, I got to lead the program in the way that what's the information I have now. It's not like we have a second portal and if the quarterback's good, so we're going to go after what we can to help us win games. And so I told them that that we're going after one for sure, probably two. Because we got to bring guys in, and compete for the job. Because if you look at it, and some of our guys might leave too, so that I'm sure that'll be coming out. So some of our quarterbacks will be going in the portal as well because they want to play. So we're going to be heavily going after quarterbacks in the portal. We got to play better.